6 million ways to die. Choose one.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Right now I'm going to do a tutorial on how to use and apply powder, blush, and highlight. So right now I have a little bit of highlight and blush on from, over this night because I went out for a meeting and so forth. But now it's pretty much all rubbed off. I can redo it. So a few things that we're going to do. First, we're going to apply blush. I always apply my blush before applying highlight because highlight is mainly like the finishing touch. You don't want your blush to overpower the highlight, so the highlight isn't actually highlighting anything. So typically you want to apply your blush first. First, I'm going to start off with going over the types of brushes that you can use to apply powder blush. First, the first one is a typical tapered blush brush, and it looks like this. This one's actually by Real Techniques. As you can see, I used it a little bit, so it's not as clean anymore. But and then the next one is kind of, I use this for contouring too, but you can also use this brush for applying blush. So there's this one, and it's a typical fluffy brush, not that special. People mostly use it for powder and so forth. And then there's another brush. This is another powder brush. People typically use this one for bronzer, but you can use any brush to apply anything. Just because it's labeled something doesn't mean you can't use it for something else. So this one is a bronzer brush, and this one's by Eco Tools, and this one is actually from Moon River. So this one's a really good contour brush too. I like getting brushes that can do both. So I get both bronzer brushes that can also be used for blush and so forth. The next brush I'm going to go over is a Kabuki slanted brush. So it's pretty puffy, and this one's by Eco Tools too. And this one's really good for applying blush as well. And then this one's by Inglot, and it's a slanted brush. This one's typically used for contouring too, but it's really good for applying blush on, my cheekbones. And the last one I wanted to go over is this one's very commonly a powder brush. This one's by Bon Solo. What a name. Bon Solo. That's great. But anyways, so this one's a typical powder brush, but yeah, it can also be used for applying blush. So these are the brushes, the different kind of brushes that you can use for applying blush. And for my clients, I typically use different brushes for applying blush because some of them have, smaller faces or whatnot. Okay, so to give you an example of how I apply my blush, I typically use the Inglot brush. I love this one. And this is by the way, the Smashbox LA Lights blush palette, and it also has a little highlight pink in it, so you can use it for highlighting. So it's a really, really, really nice trio. And so I typically use, let me see if I can plug this. I typically use these two colors, and I combine them to have that perfect natural tone for my blush. So I'm just going to quickly do that, and I'm tapping both, and then you want to tap it on your palette, make sure there's no fallout. And then I'm going to use a different mirror for this. So, and then I'm going to position the mirror in front of me. You want to smile. If you're young and you're applying blush, smile. If you're a little elder and your face is starting to hang a little bit, don't smile and apply blush, because then it makes everything go up. You want to make your face appear like everything's already up. So if you're older and your face is kind of, sagging a little bit, just apply blush without smiling, and it'll keep everything, appearing like, everything's lifted and so forth, if that makes sense. So, so the way I apply blush is I smile a little bit, not like a lot, because that's scary. So don't do that. Don't do that. But I smile a little bit, and then I start back here, And then I kind of stipple it just a little bit, you know, so we can blend out the edges, and we don't want it too harsh. So I do that, and I make sure it's fine. And sometimes, depending on how I want it to look, I concentrate on the apples on my cheeks. Other times when I want to look a little more, like a little less juvenile, then I'll throw on more blush on this area than on this area. But that's how you do it. And I know this light is drowning it out a little bit, but it looks fine in person. I wouldn't need any more blush. So, but yeah, those are the motions of it. Typically sweeping motions. And, you know, you start back here and then carefully go, you know, move to the outer edges. And then I like stipple a little bit and drag a little bit on the edges to make sure nothing looks, you know, too rough or anything. And in the case that you do apply your blush too strong, you can go back. You can use your foundation brush, something that already has foundation on it, and you can just kind of like tap that around and make sure that everything's blended, and that'll fix all your blush mistakes and so forth. So that's how you apply blush. Move on to highlight. I'll show you a few different highlight palettes first that I use, and a couple brushes that you can use to highlight different parts of your face. So a couple highlights that I use are from the Anastasia contour kit. The highlight that I like to use in here is this one on the corner. It's the one with the shimmer. And the way I'll show you guys later actually. I typically use that for my nose highlight because it's a little more subtle, and I don't want, some girls use super bold highlight for their nose, and I hate that because you don't want to make it look like your nose is sweating in like one little part. That's just a big no-no. It's a huge Instagram thing to do, to over highlight your nose. Please don't do that, girls. It does not look pretty. It's a big no-no. But and then another highlight palette that I use at times, this one's a little broken, but it's the Anastasia Glow Kit, and I love this palette. It's so pretty. But it broke. I got into a car crash like last year or something, and one of my little colors broke, so that sucked. But it's a really good palette, and I definitely did use it a lot. And then another palette that I use, and these are all palettes that I recommend. Another palette that I use is the Tartist Pro Glow, and it actually has a contour in here, which is pretty cool. But it's not my shade, it's a little too light for me, but I used it for clients. And it has all of these, it has all of these gorgeous colors for pretty much every skin tone. And I love it. I love it so much. This one's my favorite color, and I use that for the rest of my face. That's like one of my favorite highlights. And another highlight that I sometimes use, and I use this typically for my brow bone, is from the Ardell brow defining kit from this little thing. You might have seen it at drugstores. I do use drugstore makeup because some of it is better than high-end brands, surprisingly enough, but you know, drugstore brands have been really stepping it up these past years, so might as well. So the highlight from here is from this, and I use that for my brow bone, and it's pretty good. It's like a nice shimmer. So I don't know if you can see that, but you can, yeah, you can see it. So it's really good for like, you know, more medium skin tones. I wouldn't recommend it for lighter skin tones. It would blend in too well. But this one's really good. The kinds of brushes I use to highlight at times are sometimes eyeshadow brushes. They're small enough, and this one I sometimes use to highlight my nose. I also use another eyeshadow brush, but I don't have that with me. It's a small crease brush, and I believe it's by Sigma. And then another, I can't talk today. Another highlight. I can't talk, guys. Okay, anyways. Another highlight brush I use is a fan brush. Y'all have seen this everywhere. Y'all have seen it on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. Fan brushes are very, 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 very popular. You know, you see all the Instagram artists go like, and it's like, you know, you're like, I want that, you know, makes my makeup look good. Fan brushes aren't typically my favorite. They can get the job done, but they're definitely not my favorite. Sometimes they apply powders on too harshly, or the product doesn't distribute evenly on it, but you can definitely still use powder brushes to get into the small areas. But yeah, that's one of them. And another brush, you guys, I already went over this. This is the Inglot angled brush. I use this for this highlight over here. It blends it out really well, and I love it. And this brush is super soft. So that's another reason why I like it. It's just a multi-use brush. But, and then another brush I use for highlight is, again, the Moon River brush. And this one, I like to squeeze it and also use it to highlight my nose at times, or even this area, my forehead or my chin, or even this area too. It's just really good. I love these brushes. These two brushes are my favorite, so y'all should get them. But anyways, so now to delve into how to apply highlight to your face, I'm going to use my blush brush, my little angled brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and go in with a fan brush for y'all, since half of y'all already have fan brushes from watching all those Instagram tutorials. So I'll show you how to use it. So I'm going to use a fan brush, and then I'm going to use this angled brush, and I'm going to use this tiny eyeshadow brush. I love it. Love it, love it. But I'll be using these three brushes for it. Okay, so typically I start out with my nose contours first. It's just easier. And I'm going to go in again with this little shade right here in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit. And this one's not even super shimmery. It has some shimmer, you know, but it's not super shimmery. And again, I don't like my highlights super strong. So I'm going to go in with this little shadow brush, and I pinch it a little bit, and I go down. Let me actually go closer. I go down the center of my nose, like so. And then I tap it a little bit on the end to kind of highlight that point a little bit, but not overdoing it. And you can even redo it a couple times, you know, you can go back and then just kind of go down with it. But typically I focus on the higher points of my nose. I don't go straight down and make the color like completely lighted, because then your nose just looks weird and unshapely. So that's how I do my nose highlight at first. I'm going to go back with another highlight soon. And then I'm going to go in with my Tarteist Pro Glow palette. And I'm going to use my light shade over here called Strobe. It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love it. Actually, y'all can see it. Let me see. It's so pretty. Oh my god. I'm weird. Okay, anyways, so I just kind of take this shade, and you know, you can apply it with your finger. I'm just gonna apply it with my finger. I'm super lazy right now. So you can just apply it with your finger, and I just highlight these points again to make sure. Actually, I'm gonna go in with the brush. So I just highlight these points again and make sure that they're standing out more so than the rest, but the rest of my nose is still, you know, highlighted. So I'm kind of doing that, and I like it. And then if your highlight's too strong, just like dab it or apply some, let me show you guys actually. You can apply some translucent setting powder. This one is, I'm waiting for this to, oh my god, focus. This one's by Dermablend, and I freaking love this powder. It's really good, you know, And you can kind of take a dab of this and then put it on top of your highlight to make it a little more subtle if you put too much and messed up. So that was that one. So that's basically how to highlight your nose. And to highlight the rest of your face, I'm going to go in again with the strobe. Again, this is just how I do it. You just modify this tutorial with products and brushes, whatever works for you, girl. But I'm gonna go back with strobe, and I'm going to use my blush brush that I also use for contouring sometimes. I love this brush. Again, for the millionth time. And then I'm gonna just dab it into the highlight, smile, and apply it on my cheekbone like so. And it just kind of, I take it back farther, you know, why not? If you want to look super sparkly today, just do it, you know, just do it. And then again, I kind of go back with this and I apply it in the middle of my forehead. I don't go, some girls, they take the highlight and they like spread it all around. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're gonna make your forehead look like a million times bigger than it already is. So don't do that. Anyways, I just go in again and you just highlight this part, you know, because that's a high point of your face, so do it. It's kind of like in a C shape. You want to apply the highlight in a C shape and make sure that you're not applying your highlight like it's a blush. That's a big no-no. Apply it with, yeah, to go in with the fan brush actually. If you want to use a fan brush, you just make sure you get it on the one of the panels of the brush and just kind of do that. And then you just brush it on the top of your cheekbone over here, but never enter this region. And then you can just touch up, you know, go on top like this. If you want to use this for your nose, you just brush it on top of here and then go like that. Just like every other Instagrammer in the whole wide world. And then if you want to touch up on your chin, I'll typically use this brush for my chin. So it's on my high point. Never ever put your highlight in your crease of your chin. That'll make your chin look huge. Don't do that. So just typically apply it right here on your chin. If you put too much, just dab it. And yeah, that's how to apply highlight to your face. And the last place I usually apply highlight, which you don't have to do, is under your brow bone and in the corner of your eyes. So to do that, you can literally just do it with your finger, or you can do it with an eyeshadow brush or a flat brush, but I'm just going to do it with my finger for today. So I'm just going to go in with this highlight over here. And you can use the other highlight, but right now I feel like the more shiny one is appropriate. And I'm just going to apply it up here. And you can just apply a little bit. I don't really feel like going all out with the highlight, but you just brush it into the brow bone up here, and you know, you can just put a little shimmer up there. That's how you do it. To apply highlight in the inner corners of your eyes, just look down a little bit and then you can just tap it in. You know, nothing fancy. You don't ever have to do anything fancy. You just tap it in and that's it. Anyways guys, thank you for watching. If you have any video requests for me, just comment below or message me on my media. I'll link all my media down below and probably at the end of this video. So yeah, that's all I have for you today, and bye-bye.